Whoa, Food Service Power Plant Network. Hi, everybody. It's really great to see you again. There's so much enthusiasm thanks to Stephanie and MAFSI and Zumba and Crave and Camel and everybody that have promoted tonight's conversation with the amazing Stephanie Perry, who I've known for quite a while through our time on the MAFSI board back in the day. It's our first time doing one of these conversations live in maybe 8 months or so. And it is so good to be back. I will tell you real quick, I think we're doing them live again. My buddy Mike has really encouraged me to lean into that, which I love. And of course, these live conversations are one of my favorite things on the planet. Side note, and also Josh, who I work with at Calma, he and I have been talking about ways to engage more and do more of this because it's just such a happy place. So Josh, thanks for believing in this, making it happen. A couple other thanks as we get going. The team at Zumba, Maureen and Dave and Joe and Nick and everybody, you are amazing. Thank you for believing in these conversations and helping just encourage me and our community and being a part of them to bring this positive mindset messaging and storytelling to the industry. And then, of course, Chelsea and Kelsey and Eric and the whole team at Crave, who built the website and helped make all this stuff happen and the podcast, and just an abundance of love to them. All of these conversations, by the way, are housed on our website, fsfranksampowerplant.com. Go check them out. We're at like 115 or so. So that makes Stephanie around 116, which is like the perfect number for tonight. I can't wait. Look at the love. Kevin Coachman's in the house. Kevin, who of course started KCL, his dad and his whole crew, and then recently sold to Auto Quotes. Kevin, hi. Looking forward to tonight. I'm looking forward to tonight, and I'm really glad you're here. Side note, I forgot to call you. I'm coming to Orlando tomorrow. We should connect on that. Okay, everybody, listen, remember, we get to tell stories and we get to talk journey, and Stephanie's in a wickedly cool role leading multiple teams at Permul. Stephanie, I hope I got that right. I probably butchered it. And then MAFSI, of course, the Association for Our Industry's Reps, where Stephanie and I met years ago. And so she's got a lot of insights and wisdom and a lot of story behind where she is today. She didn't just step into the industry last year and today gets to lead these teams and all the various roles that she has. So I would encourage you to grab a pen, and I would grab a piece of paper and maybe make some notes, because there is always parts of everyone's story that we tell and ways we connect that are relevant to our journey. There will be challenges that Stephanie overcame that might be relevant to you, things she tried or risks she took or people she kind of leaned into to level up from that you might need to try in your world for your personal and professional growth. So take some notes. Allison's here. Allison, hi. Love seeing you. Hi, Katina. I'm glad that you're here. I love it. Listen, quick reminder, these are live. I see someone walking my front door. If the dog starts barking, we're just going to go through it. It's going to be wonderful. And let's go bring on my friend, Stephanie Perry. Stephanie!
Hello. How are you?
Hi, I'm great. How are you?
I'm excited to be here. That was a great little tee up. So, yeah, this is going to be fun.
I think we're going to have a blast. And I remember meeting you. I think I joined the board of MAFSI maybe 2015. And I think you were on the board at that point. Yes?
I believe so. Yes, I was counting back the other day too. And I got to 2016. So I think it was around that time. So,
right around there where we met. And I don't know if Chris Jeans was present at the time. I feel like he was right when I came on the board. And some of our, Tom was on the board, Mitchell, of course, and so many of our Canadian friends were just so kind and welcoming to me as I was stepping into this world that was so unfamiliar and so uncomfortable. And I had so many insecurities, and were just amazing. And all of you remain amazing people, incredible leaders, and great friends. So I'm really glad that you could join us.
Happy to be here.
Okay, so let's start just some story. If you don't mind. So today you're the president of Permul, and you've been there for a long time. You're not the founder, I don't believe. So do you mind sharing a little bit of your company story, what you do in broad perspectives, and some of your just career journey?
For sure. So the name Permul, where it came from, It's got a ring to it. So my family's last name, Perry,
Yeah.
P-E-R, and the M-U-L is from my father's business partner. So they started the company together, Joe Mulvogue, back in the mid 80s. So we just had our 40th anniversary, passed not too long ago in March. Yeah, so
Amazing.
pretty proud of that. Myself, the joke with my dad was if he ever wanted to know how long he'd been in the industry, he'd look at me and ask me how old I was. He was working for another independent distributor at the time of my birth, and that was 50 years ago. So food service is what I grew up in. And the unique part I think about maybe my story versus some of my really good friends that are in the industry is I didn't grow up thinking I would work for the family business. It wasn't something that was nurtured in me. It wasn't something that was expected of me. My dad and his business partner just did their own thing. And I found my way to this industry, but I tripped over it in a different way. So I started in 1997.
Okay.
As an account manager with a company called Royal Dalton.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so they had a division called Hotel and Airlines, which was their tabletop, of course, for the commercial food service industry. And I got an education at University of Western Ontario, picked up a Bachelor of Arts with a focus on philosophy of all things. That's my passion. And from there, when I wasn't ready to grow up quite yet, I went to a local college where I did a fashion design diploma in fashion design. And from there, I started working in retail. I chose to work in like high-end retail in downtown Toronto, which is where I'm from. And one day I realized I might want maybe more of a career and put the word out. And it was actually my dad's partner at the time who was chatting with someone at a dealer open house. And as we do, just kind of run through what you're working on, what you're looking for. And he said, I think I know somebody that should call you. And then that was how I got in the industry.
Oh, too fun. It's interesting. Our stories are so similar. My dad started a rep firm in 84, and I had no plans to be in it either. Somehow, the food service industry vortex sort of pulls us all in, and I'm glad it did, somewhat similar to you. So I love it. And my daughter's upstairs. She wants to maybe help produce these at some point. And she is so into design. So she is going to geek out when she watches our conversation.
I love it. Yes. Well, and it helped me. I was talking about how to get into sales. Now I'd been working in retail and I had a design background, and I was able to parlay that into speaking about tabletop and the front of the house aesthetic and all of those things. So I spent, I'd say 12 years doing that. And then my entrance into Permul wasn't until probably, it was 2011 when I started here.
Okay.
Yeah.
What a great foundational background. I think it's cool that there are so many ways, so many avenues to our world, and not just so many avenues, but so many really helpful avenues. Whether, it was you in design and then kind of working at the manufacturer level, or me as a teacher, or whatever it is, there's so many cool ways to end up in food service and thrive. So for anyone watching who may not be, but you're curious, lots of avenues for success here. Okay. You, in addition to your work up in Canada, and with Permul, you are also the president, which of course is a volunteer position with MAFSI, an association dear to both of our hearts, with, leading reps around North America as they continue to add value and engage and grow and evolve in what this industry is becoming and serving as such an important part of the channel. Would you talk about some of your role at MAFSI and anything in particular that MAFSI is excited about right now is in terms of what you're offering to reps and in the industry in general?
Yeah, absolutely. So I started my term as president at NAFA back in January, February. So new for me. I was a little nervous when I started this role, not knowing what kind of economic turmoil was going on on and going to be expected of me. Of course, there's always, buckle your seatbelt when you get into a position like this. And my good friends that have been in this position have weathered some immense storms, and they did an incredible job. So I was a little trepidatious when this all started, but it's been going extremely well. I get to spend a lot of time with Allison and just listening to her mind work and the history she knows about this industry and all of the many reps that make it up, make the industry. But some fun things that we're working on. So we've recently launched the M-Chef Collective, of course. So really trying to shine a light on those and the culinary responsibilities within our rep firms and within the industry at large. It's a collective that we encourage all of the culinary professionals to join. And then if they'd like to accelerate through the program, there is an opportunity to earn certain star levels by proving your talents, your experience, your engagement in the industry. So that's super fun. We've chatted about it for a while, and it has officially launched.
Cool.
Yeah. So the other thing we've got going on, I'd say, is really focusing on the FS 101 and the pantry of knowledge that we have available that keeps growing. So FS 101, for those of you that might not be familiar with it, it's basically a hyper speed way of getting acclimated with the food service industry. So we are seeing a lot of people come into this world, which is amazing. Not all of us were born into it, and trying to educate and really cut down on that training time as to what the roles and responsibilities are in the arc of food service. So that's available, and it has been for a while, but now we're starting to introduce it to the dealer groups, and we're seeing a huge resurgence in the interest of registration. So that's been going really well. And then of course our conference that's coming up in January, back in Palm Springs, and so thrilled. So we just opened the registration for that as well.
I love it. So many things. Okay, let me ask you this. M-Chef, it's for any chef, culinary professional who is in a rep organization or beyond that?
Well, initially, I believe that the focus is the rep organization, and then we are expanding that into the manufacturers that we work with and their culinary professionals. But as we do, this is like you said, put together by volunteers with the best interest of this part of the industry. So we start small and then expand in grassroots ways once we're ready for it. So if you're a rep culinary professional, we hope you register right away.
Reps, sign your culinary teams up. Holy smokes, be a part of this. I mean, let your culinary professionals level up and learn and grow, and so many things happen. You just, the ability to expand and grow is multiplied when in community and when done with peers in close proximity. So I love it.
Yeah.
Look at our friend Maureen Slocum. Are you kidding me? Maureen, FS 101 is a must for new people in the industry. Totally agree. I remember, I think maybe we started it when I was on the board, or I've seen different walkthroughs of it in my current role. And there are so many new people. We talk about training all the time internally at our organization because there's so many new folks that, they're just learning the basics. They're coming in from different places, and it's wonderful. I know it's a huge initiative for MAFSI. I know Steve and NAFM, it's been a huge initiative for them and a growth goal, bringing young people, new people into the industry. So absolutely, FS 101, go sign up, and it walks you through kind of like just all these real life scenarios. What would you do in this situation? And who's the person you talk with is in this particular scenario? I think there was like Pizza Town or something, as I recall.
You're right. And like anything else, we have aspirations of it growing, and we talk about whether there's a second level available. What we did with the POK was allow for an expanded platform of what kind of knowledge people might need. So not necessarily focused in food service. It will allow you access to business skills, email skills, different ways of improving yourself as a sales professional in general. And these are really good ways of offering continued training for your employees and for your teammates. So we're finding a lot of value in that as well.
I'm glad you put so much effort into creating this for the industry. Look at our buddy. Hey, Steve. I highly recommend FS 101 to anyone that is newer to the industry. It's excellent, very informative. Steve, thanks for sharing that. I'm glad it was helpful for you. Okay, so Stephanie, here's the next question.
Yes.
You're leading a team at Permul in Canada. You're helping lead MAFSI. You're a mom, and you've got a husband, Christian, who I've met along the way. And you have all of these roles, which you do quite successfully from anyone I talk to and watching you as you do what you do in the industry. I think my question is, how do you do it? There's people looking at their world thinking, I don't know how I navigate one particular role, whether it's leadership or not, in what they do, and life might feel chaotic or what it is. And so there's certainly skills involved and things learned along the way on how you navigate leadership roles amongst all these different places in your world. So any skills or tools or ideas on how you're doing it?
Well, it depends on the day, right? I laughed with with Neil earlier, and I said, "Oh my God, I don't want to be lying on camera and tell everybody it's easy, because life is intense and it doesn't always flow very well." But some of the skills I would say, or maybe not skills, but how I approach this is really just surrounding myself with people that I trust, people that I know I can rely on, and know that they'll show up for me. And in turn, I do that for other people as often as I can. I can't get to Vancouver. I can't get to Halifax, but I can certainly engage in that territory and that region through people that I work closely with that, are part of my team. And they help us all be successful and offer their influence and work together. So, having a family is a juggle, having a business is a juggle, but I have people that are willing to help me. And, as I mentioned, whenever I can give back, that's really my attitude as well.
I think that's a beautiful full circle moment, because there are so many conversations we've had, and not that this isn't the spirit that anyone that we've talked with would convey or has conveyed, but there's so many people that talk about the teams around them that make them better. They hire great, they surround themselves with good people. We're the sum of the 5 people we spend the most time with, and they live that. But the idea that you're recognizing, and you know what, I make sure that I give back in return what all of these people help give to you as you're running these places, I think is really beautiful. And it helps encourage anyone to be like, heck yeah, I'm on Stephanie's team, and I'm going to support, and I'm going to give, and I'll be curious in my role to build whatever we're building together, because I know she's going to look after me when the time comes. I think that's beautiful, Stephanie.
Well, I definitely try. Some other things, I keep a very open mind. I ask a lot of questions. I allow myself to be creative. I think a lot. I have a long commute to work. And I'll tell you, my son actually came to the office with me today. He earned his first paycheck from the family business, which was kind of fun. At 15, he was picking and packing in our warehouse. And it was kind of cool. But as I was pulling into the driveway, he goes, I can't believe how far you have to drive to go to work. But it's a contemplative time for me. I quite enjoy it. I have great conversations on the phone with people that I enjoy connecting with, and I think a lot about new ways of doing things and challenges I want to give myself, and vent about things that frustrate me, and do all of those things. So yeah.
I love that you have that time. Our buddy Nick Slocum. Hi, buddy. It's good to see you. Randy, thanks for joining us. That's really fun. Mike Klosterman, God bless it. Holy smokes. 2 of the best there. There is, talk about 3, Mike. You are a fan favorite and hero. Dan Farmer, sorry you're late. No apologies, buddy. We're glad you can make it. It's probably dinner time or past where you are. So we're glad you could join us. I've been listening randomly to podcasts, or I often listen to podcasts, but a theme amongst podcasts I've listened to recently is people who are giving everything they have to their work. And perhaps there's seasons where people are working hours that aren't healthy. Actually, one of them was a conversation today with a candidate for one of our roles. And he was talking about when he was a chef in the kitchen, working 80 hours a week, leaving the house at 5:30, coming home at 10. I was listening to a Huberman podcast today when he was talking about, he was teaching early on 80 hours a week. We have to, there are so many folks who I don't believe have invested in really understanding what resets them and how they recharge or how they rest. I'm looking at a bookshelf behind you, and I don't know if that's one of your things, though it's a beautiful bookshelf, side note. But they don't necessarily know how to, and even if they know, they might not create the boundaries and the space to take care of themselves. So in your world, what are a few things that you have and you do that are really going to sort of fill your cup back up?
Great question. I would say I spend a lot of time going on long walks, honestly, I'll say in nature. I've got 2 children that are very active in their choice of sport. Annoyingly far away from my home, so I end up driving a lot again. But when I get to where I'm getting to, it's usually out in nature, which is quite lovely. So I spend a lot of time there. My family and I like to go to the lake and hang out with friends that we have there. I spend a lot of time with very good friends, which really makes me happy. So I've got a great group of girlfriends that go back to our university days. We were roommates and, never left each other's side since then. And I've met a lot of really wonderful friends that I spent a lot of time with. So I would say that is probably just surrounding myself with good family, friends, laughing, talking, sharing stories. Like, that's how I unwind. That's where I usually am on the weekends.
I love it. I'm glad that you remain so connected. I feel like there's so many stats out there right now, particularly maybe in younger generations, that are so digital and so online that that's the primary way they know to connect with people. And some of those might be genuine and authentic relationships, and some of them may not, right, with people they've never actually met. And so I think about that Harvard study on longevity and happiness, and it's directly tied to the amount of connection and sort of friendships that we have. So kudos to you and your friends for remaining close, after years of graduating and so forth.
Yeah, it's fun. And meeting new friends, in your late 40s, that's not always easy.
Yeah,
But, and if you stick around this industry long enough, which I'm sure a lot of people can attest to, we become very close friends with people. So even going to work, I feel like I'm surrounded by people I truly love hanging out with. So that really brings a lot of joy. It's just the industry we're in and how long I've been around and the friends that I've met through it.
We're lucky to be in a world that honors personal connection as well, in our careers and food service. And I'm glad you're leaning in. I hope everybody does. One of the questions we ask often, because it's easy to look at someone who's in leadership positions and established in where they're at and forget some of the backstory and the fact that we all have challenge in our world on an hourly basis or a daily basis or whatever it might be. And it's hard to see in the midst of that sometimes what we'll learn or who will become coming out of it. And so in your world, was there any challenge along the way that you walked through, learned through, that really taught you just what you were made of and more of who you were?
Yeah, I would say the position I'm in right now, I mean, this is, I mentioned at the beginning of our conversation, was not in the stars for me. That wasn't my plan. And when I came to the company, my children were very small. So I have twins, they're 15 now. They were about 2 years old when I started over at Permul. And how I got into it basically was my dad asked whether I'd be interested in working for the family business, because him and his partner had an amicable split where he bought out his partner. And I thought, okay, well, change of gears, same customer base, something else to learn. And I was really up for the challenge. And ironically, I also thought it'd be a little cruisier on my schedule, which it did not turn out to be.
You misjudged that one, Stephanie.
I misjudged that one significantly. But when I started at the business, and I was excited to work with my father, unfortunately, there was some challenges medically with my mom, and my father had to step away from the business more than he'd expected that he would have to. And that, I'd say, was the biggest change for me, is realizing that I had to step into a position that I don't know that I was trained for or ready for or prepared for. But out of a sense of obligation for my father's legacy, what he'd built, I felt a massive sense of duty that I had to do this for him and for my family. So the challenge was that I came out of the blue, nobody knew who I was, and they felt that I was probably ill prepared for the responsibility that basically I had in this position. So that was intense. I had to essentially go from factory to factory, assuring them that the business would be in good hands and that we would continue to be their partner in the same way that they were familiar with. So those were heavy days. That was like back in 2013, and big strain on my confidence and, my presence in my family. I was on the road quite a bit. And I learned some really cool things from some people that I didn't know that I'd be learning lessons from, in how they offered me an opportunity to either succeed or to fail, and the customers, and whether, the customers, we buy from the people, or do we buy the brand, or do we buy the product? And this was a really telling time. So from there, what I learned from that essentially was, number one, my family is incredible in supporting me. My husband stepped up, and everybody rallied around me to do what I had to do. So that was really appreciated from them. And then just relationships that I had with people, and being willing to ask for the chance to prove to them that our organization could do it. All of the people that were employed at our company were very nervous, but hey, that it feels like a lifetime ago now, but it was a wild time back then.
Stephanie, kudos to you and your family and your team for all coming together to support the mission and really honor everything. It sounds like your dad, and I'm sure your mom, all put into growing this business, and not an easy step to make, to decide that. I think back, Argyle Campbell actually, I think, had a similar story at Kimbrough along the way. I think he stepped into that role way before he was ready, sort of due to similar circumstances. And as hard as that is, and scary at times, certainly you've come through, and your team and they have as well. But beautiful.
Yeah, but you also, you find out things about yourself, just asking for the opportunity, and just being, the one thing I hear from people, and it always makes me kind of laugh when people tell you what they think of you to your face. They're like, well, you're very direct. I'm like, oh, I didn't realize that. You cut right to the point. I'm like, oh, I guess I could be a little bit softer. I'm not really sure. But, back then I proved to myself that, you can just ask for things, and an opportunity really is what I was asking for. And put your effort and your team and rally behind it, and really prove to people. So anyway, it gave us a sense of confidence that we'd be okay that way. So it was good.
Let's find a few friends. Our buddy Michael LaCourcier up in Michigan. Hi, Mike. So true. Made a number of close friends over the years. Heck yeah, man. I hope I'm one of them. Dan Farmer. Cruisier. Is that patented?
I had dinner with Dan when we were at the NRA show. That was fun to hang out with him. Cruisier, no, you can use that if you'd like.
Run with it, Dan. That's really, really funny. You've talked about your dad and certainly other people who have supported you as you've gone and just been willing to ask for opportunities or whatever it might be. And certainly our community is one of, we talk about connecting and this idea of mentorship and leveling up and not being afraid to go ask the question for the opportunity. Hey, I'd love to learn from you, or I appreciate how you do this, or whatever it might be. Yeah. Is that something that you've been proactive with in your life? And I don't know, anyone in particular that really supported you along the way?
Supported me, well, in a business sense. I think that, you mentioned Chris at the beginning of the conversation, Chris Jeans over with WD College. I used to work there, so we became friends when I was employed there. But, he's been quite an ally for me, and one that we've actually forged a professional partnership around and melded our businesses together. But having a peer that you can rely on to bounce ideas off of has been very significant and such a positive influence in me having the confidence and to do what I'm doing and be told when I'm not doing something very well, and being very honest with each other. So that has been that was not a planned, connection other than us just being very good friends, but weaving our businesses to work alongside of one another has been really quite wonderful. So that's been good.
I love that. Chris is one of those people. He's, you two are similar in so many ways to me now that I think about it. You both carry a unique sense of calm. I think I might have noted that in the sort of preface to our conversation. And big hearts, very smart, and always just, I'm confident that when I'm going to lean in, whether it's with a moment of vulnerability, of insecurity, of questioning, whatever it is, that there's going to be someone solid on the other end that is going to help ground me. And so take it for what it's worth, but I think you both carry that in you. It's a gift.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And I think for our collective teams, it's been phenomenal having, a group that of allies for one another as well. So anyway, it's made us a big, happy bunch of Canadians.
That's pretty great. I bet that's a really fun group of people to be.
Yeah, we are pretty fun.
Well, that maybe seamlessly leads into the next question around, sort of gratitude. I think in my own journey, I've learned that I put off being grateful for things more than I realized. And as opposed to experiencing a level of gratitude for just right now. So in your world, and maybe there's a few, but anything in particular at this moment in your life that you find yourself particularly grateful for?
Grateful for, it's a broad one. I'll say health and family. Really, I'm at that age where I'm starting to see things that are challenging for people and the stress it causes on people. And I come home and I can rely on those things in my family, and it makes me feel really incredible and fortunate. I joked when you and I started this conversation, I don't get in my feelings very well. I don't articulate how I feel about certain things, and I wish I could do it better. But, I have to remind myself to say the thanks that I feel. And I'm getting better at it. But, on my long drives, I'm often thinking about how much, like I said, I appreciate my family, my friends, and the health that they have. So it means a lot.
I love it. Well, speaking of, getting into feelings, you're doing wonderful, just for what it's worth. You're doing, I know we talk about feelings a lot here. Neil and Verso, you got to be kidding me. They are Canadians. Of course they are calm. I didn't know that. Maybe it's in the water. I don't know. We have fluoride. They have calm or something. But two amazing people. I agree. I agree, buddy. Okay, we're getting to some quick hits Fun,
Okay.
fun moments. Behind you are a stack of books. I don't know that one is on that bookshelf, but any books that anything that changed your life or anything you're reading right now that you're like, holy smokes, this is one I can't put down and everyone should go grab.
They're not that deep. Do they have to be like really
Nope.
intense? Okay. So what I'm currently reading is Taylor Jenkins Reid. She's
Hmm.
an author, super casual, like light reading, but
Yeah.
they made a movie called Daisy Jones and the Six. I don't know if anybody saw that or maybe it's a show.
Huh.
But that was her book that they adapted. And then she wrote Carrie Soto is Back, and then I'm reading Malibu's Burning or something. Anyway, but it's all connected. It reminds me of when I was a kid and I used to read like every Sweet Valley High. So it's this world where they're all connected, which I love. Anything that's a little deeper, I actually love audiobooks.
Yeah.
And when I go on walks, that's what I'm listening to, are more of the factual. And I read that one called Breathe, or it's either
Oh, yeah.
Breathe or Breath. That was awesome.
James Nestor, I think.
Yes, exactly. So that was awesome. Enjoyed it. I'm going back a couple of years, but I really did truly love that book called Black, White, and the Gray. It's a chef. They opened the restaurant called The Gray in Savannah, Georgia, and it's the story of her and her business partner and how they became partners and the restaurant that they opened. And it was just a beautiful book with a lot of like tragedy in it. And it was just like their real life of creating this restaurant together. So I loved that, but that was an audiobook. So I can't lie and tell you that I read it.
No,
I
it works
walked
for
to
me. It totally works for me. I did Breathe twice on Audible. That book rocked my world. And
Loved it.
I got introduced to that from our buddy Harrison Kavanaugh, who's maybe he's watching, he's in the community. And the amount of change I've made in my life based on that book has been
Right.
so significant. And so totally worth the read, whether it's, taping your mouth at night to breathe through your nose, or when I'm on the bike or I'm running, trying to breathe through my nose, or,
Yeah.
navigating sleeping stuff, like all these things, like, I don't know, fascinating. Love it.
Yeah,
Love it.
it was really cool. I enjoyed it a lot. So, but the rest of those books, I mean, yeah, we've gotten through all of them, but it's just a lot of like Tom Robbins and fun little reads up there.
I love it. For me, I'm like morning is when I'll read some pages of like a nonfiction, and then nighttime it's like a fiction. It's just a no-brainer. Let me get lost in something to sort of quiet down, and it's a gift. Tom Mitchell is in the house. You fill all those roles great. I love it, Tom.
Oh, that's sweet. Thanks, Tom.
Simon. Hi, Simon. Steph and her dad are both Cal legends. What is the best business advice Tom gave you? Tom's your dad?
Tom is my dad. Yes, he is. Simon and I have known each other forever. So Simon, he was like a rep with Garland when I was first getting in the industry. And I think we looked after the same dealers. So we'd run into each other all the time. So
Fun.
yeah, we've all grown up together, which is kind of cool. What's the best advice my dad gave me? Oh my God. I don't know that he's like filled with wisdom. He certainly is filled with action. Like I watch my dad. I see what he does. I see how he does it. And a lot of it is just get out there and get the job done. And like I said, if you want something, just do the work. It's not out of your reach if you do the work. And I think that's where I got my work ethic from, and the motivation. I see him put his mind to things and accomplish them, and it's inspiring.
I love that, Stephanie. You think about so many people, we talk even here about like dreaming big or like, having great plans, but if you don't take action, it's all for nothing. And
Right.
So I love those people that are just like, I'm just going to move and I'm going to take action and we're going to start moving this mountain, whether I even know what direction we're going yet or not. I know that we've got to start moving and we'll figure it out along the way. Those people are really inspiring. Kevin, love the gray. Very unusual menu, delicious food, really fun. Okay. Is there a quote that you love? Anything that's stuck with you for a period of time?
First of all, like I can remember spec sheets and stats. I can't remember quotes or movie lines or anything like that. So my joke was that my favorite quote's the one that got me the order. So
there you go. I know. For a second, I thought that's where you were going. It's like, oh, I asked the wrong question. I should have been more clear. Not quote, like, what you're putting together every day. That's really funny.
Yeah,
that's well done.
Yeah. I wish I could remember things like that. There's no song lyrics. There's no like actors' names. There's none of that. But I can tell you like how many BTUs are in it. Like,
it matters to a lot of people. That's what they need. They don't need the motivational quote. They just need the BTUs, which is great. How about advice? Anything along the way that someone said to you that you're like, yeah, that's something that stuck with me and changed my paradigm or my way of seeing the world?
I'm an observer. That's where I get my inspiration from, frankly. I surround myself with people who motivate me. I surround myself with people that are doing really amazing things that I get to learn from. Being on the MAFSI board is it's a lot of why I'm there is I'm quietly being mentored by people that I have a lot of respect for, and I'm learning every day from my peers and hopefully exchanging a little bit of that back. So, the advice would really just be to get yourself out there and surround yourself with people that you are, I'd say, inspired by and want to learn from. And that will probably take you to where you need to be.
Agreed. I'm sure everything you're picking up that you're observing, it's reciprocal. And I know everyone feels it from you too and is receiving that as well. How about this last question? There isn't a person I've met who doesn't say they want to be successful. Everybody wants to experience success, but everyone defines it differently. In fact, many people I think don't actually know how they define it. They just it's a word they use.
Mm-hmm.
What does success look like to you, Stephanie?
I should have probably rehearsed this because I know you teed this up for me and I didn't. I would say just happiness. Happiness is success to me. Life can get real bumpy. And if you can navigate through to a place where you're feeling good and you're happy and you can have a laugh about something, that feels successful to me. I joked that I can be pretty direct, but I also think I have a really good sense of humor and I like to have fun and I like to have a laugh, and that makes me feel like things are going in the right direction.
I think that's a beautiful answer and one of the healthiest that I've heard along the way. And I know you're fun and funny for whether it's me having witnessed or some other people sharing some thoughts. Steve, hi, Steve. Great to see you. I'm glad you're here. Excuse me. Our friend Allison, great job. Love this so much. Lucky to work with you both. And Steph. Brian Wood. Hi, Brian. Brian was one of our first interviews so long ago. Tom and Stephanie are amazing people. Stephanie, you are an ideal ambassador for Canadian food service. We're all so proud of your accomplishments. My daughter still remembers her conversation with you in Milan. She looks up to you. As an aside, how many rounds has Tom played to date? I assume that's golf. Are we talking golf?
Yeah, we're talking golf. Yes, he always I think, I don't know if he still does, but he used to like to get to 100 rounds. Now we're in Canada, so like the season's not huge.
Hard.
So he would be pretty proud when he hit that number. But yes, he quite enjoys his golf buddies and the rounds that they get into together. And thank you, Brian, for those lovely words. Now, Brian's daughter impressed me. She was, I believe, I can't remember the brand, but she was in merchandising, maybe with like Chanel. And when I got to hear what she did for a living, I was jealous. So that was a fun little event we were at for the Restaurants Canada hosted us at the Host Milan show. So pretty cool. Anyway,
that's really neat.
Yeah.
Brian, speaking of
things we get get to do.
Yeah, Brian, speaking of golf, when we interviewed you, you were working on your golf game and getting that swing back. And then maybe a year later, I had a video from you swinging that golf club. I hope you are still out there swinging, and it remains a goal of mine for us to head to a Top Golf or play some golf together at some point, my friend. Dan, got my first dose of Stephanie, and I'm ready for my next already. Let's get after it, MAFSI. I love it, Dan. Dean LeBay, what's your aha moment that changed your thinking in this industry? Good question, Dean.
Yeah, now I gotta think.
I know.
It's funny. When I was very young, and I'm going back to a story of me being with my dad, we were actually going to check out some universities, and he took me. Now, being a salesperson, he couldn't just drive me to the university. We made like 4 sales stops on the way down there, and I had to go into these jobs. It was kind of fun, but yeah, I mean, understanding the back of the house of a restaurant, that was my first aha moment. I didn't really understand what we were doing. I knew he sold this and he sold that, and this guy this and this guy that. I didn't really see it all come together. So it was a lot of fun being able to go shoulder to shoulder in the sales process and understand how you assess what people need. So that to me was the first time I really realized that, wow, like that's a job. And I mentioned bringing my son to work today. So we had a demo with a client today, and he got to listen in on how we do it. And he's like, I didn't realize you could talk about pizza for a whole hour. I'm like, yes, you can, because you can cook it many different ways. So we had a lot of fun, and being able to share some of that knowledge and that inspiration with my kid was a lot of fun today.
I love that. Maureen, bravo. Happiness is success. Thank you, Stephanie and Jason. Maureen, you exude it, my friend, and love seeing your happiness and your success. Brian, she is now in the company, and she hopes to follow in your footsteps. I'm working on my game. Tune into the Canadian Open this weekend. You may see me. I sure hope. That would be amazing, Brian. I love it. Enjoy hearing about your path and journey, and your take on happiness and success is just so true. Thank you. That is really fun. Stephanie, I've got one more little thing for you. It's my favorite part of our conversations. And as someone who's working on feeling the feelings, just this is going to be an exercise. We're jumping into the deep end in feelings right now.
Okay.
So we do something at the end of each of these conversations called encouraging words, where we share just some words from some of your industry friends or people that you work with who say, here's what Stephanie has meant to me, or why I'm amazed by her, whatever it is. And so here's a few of them. Our buddy Neil Inverso, who made it tonight. What an honor it has been to work alongside Stephanie on the executive committee of MAFSI. I should state Neil was, I think, the previous president of MAFSI right before you. Is that right?
Yes.
And,
yes.
Yeah, and one of our great friends. To work on the executive committee of MAFSI and to have her as my successor, our organization could not be in better hands. There is something about our friends across the border that is special. I love our Canadian friends. And no matter what's going on in the world, I stand behind all of you. Stephanie, I know you will lead our organization with honor and dignity, and I can't wait to see what the next 2 years bring. That's really fun.
That's very sweet. Thank you, Neil.
Someone who works with you, Janet Magno. Janet Magno.
Yeah. Okay.
I love it, Janet. I've had the pleasure of knowing Stephanie for many years and the honor of working with her for these past 4. Stephanie is smart, she is strategic, and she is an inspiration to her team. She's compassionate and kind, but also very funny with a sharp sense of humor. There we go. We're teeing back up on that. I have learned a lot from Stephanie, and I continue to learn from her. She has the ability to bring out the best in those around her and is a great leader to the Permul team.
Wow.
It's really fun, Janet. Thanks for sharing.
Janet's our operations manager. She keeps our entire organization running. So she's incredible.
Way to go, Janet. I might pronounce this wrong. Jean McErleen from Berry Equipment Sales.
Oh, Jen McErleen.
Jen, yes.
Yeah.
Stephanie is so much more than just a colleague. She is one of my dearest friends. Some of my proudest achievements have been shaped by her mentorship, and I'm endlessly grateful for the wisdom, the encouragement, and the support that she regularly shares. She leads with heart and wisdom and strength, and with the energy that seems to defy the clock. Whether she's the life of the party, or as one of my clients recently put it, the ultimate boss lady, her dedication and authenticity have had a lasting impact on not just myself, but on so many around her. She is not just a mentor or a leader. She is a force, and our industry is better because of her. Wow. Jen.
That's really quite sweet. Thank you. Wow.
I'm feeling all the feelings right now, Jen. Holy smokes.
She's a principal at one of our dealers that we look after, and she's absolutely right. We've become dear friends. We chat out all the drama of selling refrigerators, but we have a lot of fun doing it.
I love it. You're in it together.
Yeah.
Lastly, one of our really good friends, and certainly to you, Chris Jeans. Stephanie has been a trusted collaborator, business partner, and a friend for many years. I'm thankful that I've had the privilege of being able to learn from her, and when I need either advice or a different perspective on my own opportunities or challenges. Sometimes she even listens to me. It has been fun to watch her lead Permul and to the new levels of success over the last decade. There is no doubt that MAFSI is in great hands with Stephanie as its leader, and that her influence will remain well into the future of our association. Really cool, Chris.
Thank you, Chris.
Wow. Pretty fun, huh? You're kind of a big deal, Stephanie. You've made an impact on a lot of people. I love it. It's beautiful.
They have on me as well. So that was really sweet. For those of you that shared your thoughts of me, thank you for being so kind. It really touched my heart.
Really wonderful. Steve, what a wonderful conversation. Thank you. Thanks for joining us. Allison, love it. All so true. Listen, friends, thanks for joining us on a Tuesday night. You know, Stephanie's journey is really fun in watching, in that there's a roundabout way she ended up here. She followed her passion and her joy into the design world and all these cool places, and ends up with an opportunity just looking for something new, using those talents and other talents that maybe she hadn't flexed yet, and certainly now is flexing, getting to teach others with and lead with. And certainly in the moment, there was challenge overcame, and stepping up to her call to serve her family and honor her dad's legacy, and certainly her folks and what they did. And for anyone watching, I'll remind you that we all have these times. You know, there's certainly challenges to overcome. Stephanie said life is often bumpy, and it's a great phrase. And so if you're in a moment of time where things feel bumpy, you just keep going. I think about Tom, her dad, a man of action. You're just going to make it happen one way or another. You keep pedaling, you keep moving, you keep running, you keep connecting, because we've all experienced it. And together, certainly, we all keep growing into both our career and certainly into the happiness that makes us up. I think Stephanie's definition of happiness of success rings so true in me. If you can find a way to be happy in what you're doing and cultivate those aspects in your journey, it's hard to define it as anything other than that. And I hope that for everyone watching, Stephanie, you have been a joy. And I'm so glad you came on. Janet, thanks for being with us and your words. Don, love that you were here. Scott Davis, yo, buddy. It's been a while. I'm glad to see you. Our buddy Nicholas Slocum, that was awesome to sit on. Thanks for sharing, Stephanie. Heck yes. Maureen, terrific interview. Thank you, Stephanie, for sharing your stories, Katina, enjoyed the conversation, and finally meeting Stephanie. Thanks for both for sharing part of your evening with us. What a joy and a gift you all gave us as well. Stephanie, thank you again. Have a great night, and can't wait to see you out there. Everybody, be well, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks, guys.